friends, welcome to another Red Eyes radio program. My name is Henrik Palmgren and we extend a warm welcome to everyone listening from around the world in these strange and interesting times. And it seems to get stranger every day now, doesn't it? What is going on beneath the Giza Plateau in Egypt? News have been coming out of underground cave systems that have been uncovered. There's also been rumors and stories about the secret archaeological excavations allegedly taking place in the vicinity of the Sphinx. Objects are rumored to have been taken out, and a lot of speculation is going on around the web about this, obviously. So, what is the truth? What is the story on this? We are going to begin to talk about the discovery of Giza's cave system, their natural cave system. This is Egypt's Duat, the real underworld that exists underneath the pyramids. Andrew Collins is with us, the man who in modern times has rediscovered these. And we are going to hear the story of how he found the entrance to this natural cave system at the Tomb of the Birds, located at the plateau's north cliff, not too far away from the Sphinx. Where did the story begin? Who discovered them first? How has Zahi Hawass of the Supreme Council of Antiquities dealt with the story? This is an explosive discovery that could rewrite the whole story of Egypt, and especially how their own myths came about in terms of their underworld, the Duat. In our second hour, we will focus more on the stories and rumors about the secret excavations taking place there. Andrew Collins is the author of The Cygnus Mystery. He was with us back in 2007 discussing this book. He's also authored From the Ashes of Angels, Gateway to Atlantis, Gods of Eden, Tutankhamun, The Exodus Conspiracy, and many more books. His latest one that details what we'll be talking about today is called Beneath the Pyramids, and the website is andrewcollins.com. So stay with us as we explore this very exciting discovery with Andrew Collins. Okay, well, Andrew, we have so much to talk about. Obviously, you have a new book out, and we'll get into that more later on as well. But there is some urgent matters here in terms of some of the big discoveries here that you've been revealing in terms of what is happening with the Giza, with the caves there. There has been talks about digs underneath, and we have a whole story here to kind of unfold, if you will, for our listeners. But why don't you kick things off for us, Andrew, and tell us about some of these discoveries that you've made here recently?
Okay, well, for the last 25 years, I've been engaged in a search for what most people call the Hall of Records. And this is some kind of secret chamber existing beneath the pyramids of Giza, beneath the plateau there. And this is something which obviously psychics have talked about. Edgar Cayce and others have predicted that this would be discovered and it would be found, sometime during our lifetimes. And it was something that I was pursuing. And in 2007, we got a very lucky break. A colleague of mine by the name of Nigel Skinner-Simpson, who is a Egyptological researcher, managed to track down the memoirs of a British diplomat and explorer by the name of Henry Salt. They had been in the British Museum for over 100 years, and their importance had never been recognised. Now, he knew this name, Henry Salt, because in a biography of Salt, there is just one or two lines that talk about him exploring catacombs at Giza, somewhere to the west of the Great Pyramid. Mm-hmm. Now, there was absolutely nothing recorded about this, so it was always something that he wanted to know more. When he finally tracked down the memoirs, unpublished, I should say, they weren't published until 2007 for the first time, it actually gives more details about these catacombs. And it says that he and an Italian explorer by the name of Giovanni Caviglia travelled through these catacombs for a distance of several hundred yards until they came upon a large chamber that interconnected with another three. And it said that at this point, Salt gave up because he could not find any treasure or gold down there, leaving Caviglia to continue on for another 300 feet further. And this is quite important to emphasise. It says further. Mm-hmm. So it's I mean, there's no ambiguity here. They travelled several hundred yards, and at this point, Soult gave up and left Caviglia to carry on. And of course, with this was obviously the question of where was the entrance to this. Well, Henry Soult talks about it in an area of a hand-drawn map of the plateau that he did as Area QQ. And we were able to track this down specifically to an area that's about 500 metres west of the Great Pyramids, within the northern cliff of the plateau, somewhere that hardly anybody ever goes, not just tourists, but Egyptologists, security police. It's somewhere that's just left on its own from one year to the next. And here is a tomb which also is completely a mystery. Nothing at all is known about it, other than the fact that around 150 years ago, another British explorer by the name of Richard Howard Vyse, with an engineer by the name of John Shea Perrin, were in this tomb, and they discovered the remains of bird mummies and possibly some other animal mummies as well, and suggesting that the site was being used for some kind of cult to do with a bird god maybe. And I found this really interesting because there was a bird god by the name of Sokar,
yes,
who was the guardian of the underworld at Giza, which went under the name of Rostal. This was the ancient name, not just of the cave underworld in Egyptian mythology, but it was also the ancient name of Giza itself. And I've proposed in books that the two were the same, and that this cave underworld truly existed at Giza. So I wondered whether this cave was the entrance. Sorry, this tomb was the entrance. And I'd actually gone there in January 2007, before the memoirs were found, looking for any possible entrances into caves. And I couldn't find any at the time. But once the memoirs were found, and this was months after we'd returned from Egypt, I realised that maybe we had missed something. So at this point, we basically gathered together an expedition, and we also got funding from the American organisation, the Edgar Cayce Foundation, who were very interested in following up these new leads. And we returned back to Giza in March 2008, and we explored the tomb again, which is quite substantial, and it's obviously in total darkness as well. And eventually we found a small crack in the wall, which we hadn't noticed on the first visit. And this led into a huge cave chamber that was filled with bats. And all these bats started, flying out of this hole. But I realised that we needed to explore further. So we entered inside this cave complex and began exploring it for the first of 4 visits.